Hey, Adrian. Happy Tuesday to you, man.
Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Hey, week 12. Today is celebration day. Today is graduation day. Woo, woo, woo. You did it. You did it, brother. It's amazing. So we got a few things to celebrate today. So let's jump right in. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So, like always, let's tune into what you knocked out of the park in the last 7 days.
Mhm. So one of the things is I've been also better at managing my time and also taking away the things that take away my time. Like um I noticed I have a better ability of like not I guess being more efficient with my time. Like if I have some free time, I'll find a way to make use of it. Like even like let's say if I'm waiting around and at an office for my doctor appointment, instead of just sitting there mindlessly scrolling through social media, I'll go and try and do something that can help me grow a little bit better, either going over some of my RWA stuff or checking my work schedule and be like, oh, these are the clients I have today, and then I'll design a workout program for them, just that way everything's more planned out. And I notice I have a lot more ease in my mind throughout the day because there's a little bit more planning.
Amazing, amazing. So that's incredible. So the past 7 days, you've improved your time management by if you have any idle or free time, you're trying to be as efficient as possible with it, right?
Hmm.
And you're trying to use it for good, right? You're trying to focus your attention. And because you're focusing your attention on the things that are important to you, it eases your mind.
Exactly.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That
Amazing.
sounds exactly right.
Amazing. Cool. So keep that up. That's fantastic. How about any challenges? You got any challenges or obstacles that you came up against this week?
This week, not particularly. I guess the only thing would just be the same thing as far as going the the appointments for
Yep.
like physical therapy and stuff like that. Well, I guess
Yeah,
my
but
taxes are coming up, so I gotta put
oh,
some time into that. So yeah,
the
maybe
tax
that's not that
man.
big.
Oh man. Yeah, me too. It's one of those I guess necessary evils. I
Hmm.
guess I guess so. So they tell us anyway. Anyway, we won't go there today. That's like a whole other thing, right?
Hmm.
That's a whole other thing. So, yeah, man. But it sounds like also when you're going to these appointments and things like that, well, now you've got some idle time. You're sitting in a waiting room and you're focusing your attention in on the things that you need to do. So, fantastic. Way to
Hmm.
go. Way to go. So,
Thank you.
hey, like I said, today we're going to shift things a little bit because today is graduation day.
Cool.
Woo! Right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
today is party day, right? So you made it through your first 90-day transformation. And I
Hmm.
would like to say that it's a big deal, dude. It's a big deal to make it through and to see how much you've grown, right? Because the reality is the biggest thing to remember through this whole process is that what you're doing is you're becoming a healthier version of you, right? And the reality is it's not something that necessarily happens overnight, right? And as we now know, it's a constant evolution of becoming, right? So now that you're on this path, um, I suspect it won't stop. It's one of those things, especially for me as a coach. I have other coaches who coach me, and I'm constantly learning about myself. So I encourage people once they're on this path to keep rocking it and doing the best you can. So today, to close out your 90-day transformation, we're gonna do an activity called a completion ritual. Okay.
Okay.
So if you have a look at, I'm going to share my screen with you here for a second.
Hmm.
Um, there's some notes in here, student action notes. Do you have this completion ritual? Can you see this one here?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So just pull yours up because this is kind of be especially the first page. we're going to focus more on the first page right at this particular point. So pull it out. And I know you're a typer, so you're going to type it. And we're going to do a little bit of recording, okay? We're just going to play with this, okay?
Cool.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through like a quick review of what we went over the past 12 weeks. And then we're going to do this, see where it says dump, right? We're going to dump in whatever comes to our mind, okay? And like I said, I'm going to take you through the process, and then you can kind of dump in there whatever you need to dump in, okay? Because what we're going to do is after we dump, then we're going to organize this into, as you can see, 5 different lessons. And we're also going to just sort of distill all of this stuff again, right? So this is really important for you to have this, okay? Is that cool with you? So
Yes.
cool, awesome. So let's have a look at, so I know this is like, seems to be a long time ago now, but back 12 weeks, right? So our first coaching call was all about clearing the clutter, okay? And our second coaching call was all about what to eat and water. And our third coaching call was all about sleep. So what I'd like you to do with just thinking about those 3 coaching calls, dump into the dump category any lessons that you've learned from those 3 coaching calls.
Okay.
So I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. You just tell me when you feel like, well, when you feel like you're done.
So quick question, actually.
Let's hear it.
So am I supposed to put that in for the top lesson number 1 I learned, or just a dump for coaching call set 1?
Right. So we're going to go through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through it. And so I'm going to, instead of giving you like one at a time, what I'm doing is I'm kind of clumping them in 3s. So I'll have like 4 different categories that we'll go through. Okay. And just put it in the dump section for now. We'll organize it after. Right now, it's just like, get it out of your head. So, clearing the clutter, what to eat and water, and sleep. Any like boom lessons that come up to you like, whoa, okay, those were helpful lessons for me. Just dump them in there for now. We can elaborate on them later and decide what's important and what's not. Okay. I know there's a lot of lessons, right?
Yeah.
Feel good about that?
Almost. Let me write just 2 more real quick.
Sure.
Water.
I know when I do these exercises, I just keep dumping and dumping and dumping and dumping, right?
Yeah.
And in the end, you're going to be kind of blown away with how much stuff you have. You'd be like, whoa.
Yeah. I'm pretty good.
Cool. All right. So let's move on to the second set of 3. Okay. And so coaching call 4 was all about the dark force holding you back. So remember that one. Woo.
Yeah.
That was a good one, right? And then call number 5 was all about designing your 2.0 version and designing your future life and future situation. And number 6 was all about becoming your 2.0 version and the becoming journal. So just, dump anything from those 3 that are just like, boom, aha, lessons learned.
All right.
All right, cool. So now the third set is coaching call 7, which is all about conscious eating and slowing down. Coaching call number 8 was all about the hunger and fullness scale. And coaching call number 9 was all about movement and the wheel of wellness. So what stood out for you about those?
All right.
Cool. Now the final set number 4, is all about coaching call number 10, which was learning the 2 different mindsets. You remember stepping back and being in the clouds versus zooming in and being in the trenches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then coaching call 11 was all about the wheel of health. So what stood out for you about those 2?
Oops. The clouds. All right. Good to
Cool.
go.
Yeah, amazing, right? So lots of stuff there. The real question is now, can you pick your top 5, Adrian? Can you distill them a little bit further and have a look and read your dump section and
Mhm.
see if you have a top 5?
For sure. And do I just tell you?
Yeah. Give me your top 5, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so
And they can be in
uh
any order, okay? And we
mhm,
can distill this further after. So go ahead.
yeah. So clearing clearing the clutter, because once I cleared a lot of the clutter in my life, I realized how much easier it was to manage my my focus and energy, because I didn't have to spend a lot of focus and energy constantly re-cleaning stuff over and over again, or looking for stuff because I didn't know where they were, you know? So once everything's more organized, you have a lot more space for more important things, I guess. Or I
Awesome.
guess that require more effort, yeah. So that one,
Cool.
how I undervalued sleep. Um, I would always be like, ah, it's okay. I'll get 5 solid hours, or oh, I'll just get 6 hours. Um, and I always knew the importance of sleep, um, because of my health background, but I always thought I could be the exception to the rule, and I could always sacrifice a little bit of sleep. And you always hear that too in today's society, like, oh, don't be such a baby, just sacrifice a few hours of sleep, you know, and drink a bit of coffee and get through the day. But if you do that for too long, man, it really takes a toll on you, you know.
Right.
And or
Yeah,
like, oh, just stay, or yeah, or sorry, go
that's what
on.
the Rock does. If you see him on social media, he's like always pushing it, man. Jumping on airplanes, eating late, drinking tequila at like 2 o'clock in the morning, jumping on airplanes, and he's always giving her, right? I'm like, how does that guy do that? I I I
Hmm.
think I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. So there you go. Sleep, undervalued sleep. How about another one?
The this one hit me pretty hard. That I am in control of myself and my life circumstances, um, like now and forever, and I can forge like my state of being. So before, I would always try and find excuses to not take responsibility for things. I'd either blame others or external factors, but the best thing that I could do is control my reaction to how I handle those things, and I could steer myself in a more favorable direction. So, yeah, I guess taking responsibility for it all.
Amazing, amazing. So that's number three. How about number four?
The um I would say probably the consistent action steps lets you become the person you want to be. So as long as you're always doing something, like always consistent with whether it be a something you're trying to learn, a skill, or you name it, you know, you can get there, and you can always keep improving. Um,
What's
and with
something that
that,
you,
huh?
sorry, keep going, sorry.
Yeah. So, like for example, if you really want to change, you have to consistently do things to forge that change. You know, like I understood that when it came to working out and like trying to pass an exam, you know, but when it came to like I guess my mental aspect of things, you know, how I saw myself, I have to consistently, like for example, the becoming journal, you know, that helps you stay consistent with seeing how you're changing constantly, you know, because you're constantly being aware of it.
Okay.
And then the last one would be the clowns and trenches mindset. And I guess because it was in the same coaching called the wheel of health management, specifically the mind management part of the wheel of health. Because yeah, you know, you're either in the trenches for too long and you don't know where to go because you never take a step back and go to the clouds, or you stay in the clouds for too long, you don't do any action steps, you know, and you just stay stuck there hovering, doing nothing. um yeah, so that those five probably stood out the most.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So now we're going to dive a little bit deeper here. Okay. Does that sound good to you?
Hmm.
Because I'm curious. So out of those five, what would you say is your number one lesson that you're taking away from the last 90 days?
I would say that I'm in control. I guess taking responsibility for everything that goes on in my life.
Amazing, amazing. So that's cool.
Mhm.
How about that? How about the second one? Second most impactful.
Yeah.
I know this is a hard one, right? These are hard.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of a tie between either undervaluing sleep because, um, or the clouds and trenches mindset. I guess the cloud. You know what? I'm gonna go with the clouds and trenches mindset because I did know the value of sleep, but I just made a personal choice to undervalue it because I let people get in my head about sleep. Like, oh, just stay up all night to study for a test. I do it. I still fail the test, and it's like, all right, you know what? No, I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna study that test in a healthy way, and I'm gonna get my 8 hours, and then I do better on the test. But
Right.
anyways, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the cloud and trenches mindset because there's been too many times in my life where I had no sense of direction because I never took a step back to look at where I'm at. So
Yeah,
I
that
guess
makes
that
sense.
one too.
Cool. So how about number three?
Undervaluing sleep.
Okay. All right. And number four.
Um, the consistency of things is what really leads to change. I guess that's a better way to uh, word that one that I did,
Okay.
or I guess results, whatever.
Question for you about your consistency piece. What was the thing
Mhm.
that you were most consistent about that kind of moved the needle for you? You mentioned the
So one of the thing,
beginning, but
yeah. So one thing that I was consistent with, um, I always had a good grasp of always being physically active, always eating a well-balanced diet. And this habit started around sophomore year in high school because I wanted every little bit of advantage I could have for my sports that I would competed in. I wanted because I knew a lot of kids in high school didn't take it as seriously, and that's why
Mhm.
I was able to um, excel a little bit. And then in that aspect. But one thing I never was consistent was um, learning certain life skills that could have helped me, like be more social, better with people. Um, what else? Stress management. I never practiced these skills. So I was inconsistent in some areas, but because I was inconsistent in other areas, then my fitness and my nutrition started to take a fall, and like my mental health and stuff because I never consistently balanced certain things in my life.
Fair
And if I
enough.
wanted that to change, yeah, then I'd have to change the inconsistency stuff to more consistent things. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's take a look at your number one lesson there. Okay. You're
Hmm.
taking 100% responsibility, right? What
Hmm.
what is the thing that you really learned there? Like what are you taking 100% responsibility for? I'm just hammering away. You already said this point, but I want to make sure that you were able to write this down. So, because you
Hmm.
told me, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said the thing that you were really proud of taking 100% responsibility for was just, for you to sort of be in control and really focus on your response to things, which I guess
Yeah,
that's what responsibility is. But I would like you maybe just to sort of,
exactly.
I would like you just to sort of maybe expand on that just a little bit about what you
Yeah, yeah,
actually
of course.
learned. Yeah.
Yeah, so like for example, when I was younger and more ignorant, I would blame like, oh, I have trouble in school because I don't really have anyone to fall back on to help me with school. Like my
Right.
parents, you know, they did very well for themselves, but their education only got them to a sixth grade level in Mexico.
Right.
So I couldn't really ask for help from them. And then also my siblings weren't really help either because they didn't go anything after high school. So college was really me going solo, really no sense of guidance. And I would blame them for that. But it's like, oh, you little ungrateful shithead. And they brought you in here to the States so you could have an opportunity, and you're wasting it away just because you don't have it. You weren't born with the silver spoon, with
Yeah.
the, I guess, easier opportunity, but you still have the opportunity. You just may have a little bit less odds in your favor, but
Mhm.
you still have odds, and the only way to increase your odds is by growing as a person. So like something like that, I would really blame a lot of stuff like, oh great, I'm not they don't want me, I'm not first string running back because I'm shorter than the other running back. But it's like, okay, well, if I'm short, that means I have a lower center of gravity, I have better balance, I can be more agile than the other guy. I'm gonna have to play with my strengths, you know what I mean? So it's like, sure, I may
Totally.
have in some disadvantage. So I just started to rethink certain situations. I did it better with certain parts of my life, but not with others. And so now I need to understand that I can forge and take responsibility for everything, and I got to play with the cards I'm dealt with as best as I can. And
Amazing.
yeah, and then with that, you just feel so much more powerful. It's like with everything, it's really empowering when you change your mindset to that, at least for me.
No, that's a massive shift, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, hey,
Hmm.
talk to me a little bit more about your second lesson, which was you were talking about, clouds thinking versus trenches thinking in relationship to your mind management, right? So, you were talking
Hmm.
about being a little bit more balanced about zooming in and zooming out. Is there a particular thing that you've learned around that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like what I like about these lessons is that you learn something from here, and then you can go back in time and kind of reevaluate where you kind of went wrong. And that's kind of what happened here is that, like, okay, so I was in the trenches. Oh yeah, we talked about a previous coaching call. I was in the trenches doing all my schoolwork and stuff. But one thing that lacked was I wasn't taking care of myself mentally, and I
Right.
also wasn't maintaining and nurturing the current relationships I had with people that I cared about in my life, and that was because I never took a step back. And then there was other times where I did take a step back, and this was like before I even was in college. I took basically a year off where I literally did nothing. Like from 18 to 19, I was in the exact same place that I was, and I was like, that is not good. Like I was in the clouds for too long, being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to college and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But I never signed up for classes. I never did anything. Sure, I set out a plan for
Right.
myself, but I did nothing for a year. So then I was like, okay, let's make sure I've done both extremes at some point in my life. Now that I'm more aware of it, let's be better at shifting and between those two. So yeah.
Amazing. 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 And so how about your sleep? What have you learned about your sleep? You kind of touched on this too. Like yes, you
Hmm.
undervalued it, but now that you have it more, like what have you learned from all of that?
I noticed that my mood regulation is a lot more stable, and
Okay.
like and uh and I guess it's easier to get into certain emotions you want to feel. Like for example, I noticed now that I laugh easier. Before I'd find something funny, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, ha ha ha, that's pretty funny." But now I like laugh, and then I look at it again because I have, I don't know, more energy or something, and then I laugh harder because I thought of another thing that made me laugh, but it's still like within the same thing. So you just feel way better, well rested, more energy for your things. You give better energy, and sometimes your energy uplifts people, and you notice it too. And you're just
Yeah.
like, oh, that feels good. And then you're
Amazing.
just like, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this sleep thing. It's pretty awesome.
Cool, cool, right on. So how about number 4? You said consistency is key,
Hmm.
and you were talking about most in regards mostly to your mental self, and I think you kind of nailed that one where you're talking about your socialization and your stress management. So it sounds like what you've learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you've
Hmm.
learned is to focus on that a little bit more, right? Just making socialization more of a priority, right? And also
Hmm.
making stress management more of a priority.
Yeah. No, yeah,
And
definitely. Like,
and that's you mentioned also that kind of ties into your zoom in, zoom out thing, right? That you've kind of learned about
yeah,
too. So cool.
yeah,
Well,
definitely.
yeah, you've
It
touched on
all
that.
connects. It all
I think
connects.
this is the point of this particular activity,
Yeah.
Adrian.
Oh, whoa. All right.
Whoa, right?
Jumped the gun there a little bit, I guess.
Becoming a
But
thing here. So, and let's just touch on the last one. So you were talking about clutter, and
hmm.
I think you already touched on that too, where you said that you've learned by clearing the clutter, you've learned to, it's allowed you to manage your energy a little bit more, allow you to manage your focus a little bit more, and it kind of allows you just to organize your life a little bit better.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. And then
cool.
it leaves room for more things that you, I guess, want to put energy into.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. Wow. Okay. So I'm sure you're looking at this, right? And there's a bunch of lessons that we just learned here. These are all
Hmm.
super fantastic lessons. Can you imagine what would happen? And feel free to do this. Can you imagine what would happen if you shared these lessons and these skills that you've learned over the past 90 days? Can you imagine what would happen if you shared those with your friends and family? And encourage them to take action. Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be awesome.
That's what I'm going to encourage you to do, man, because this is what this whole experience is about. It's about sharing this also with other people and lifting other people up after you've been lifted up. That makes sense to you?
Hmm.
Cool. Awesome. So this particular activity is so awesome. It's sort of extracting all the amazing lessons and distilling it, right? And that's why we kind of do this on our final coaching call. But the reality is it's not over yet, Adrian. Don't worry, okay? So I just want to go ahead and talk about what's next. Sound good to you?
Yeah, please do.
Cool. So remember we were talking in a previous coaching call about the new norm? Remember we were talking about the new norm?
Hmm.
Yeah. And so the reality is there were topics that we were unable to talk about when we first started this program that, because you didn't necessarily have the foundations that you needed. But it's clear now that you're not the same man that I met 12 weeks ago. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say. Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty fantastic, right? Right? So
Yeah.
this is your new perspective, and now, that you've gone through this initial journey, we're able to have this conversation and continue with the momentum that you've already built on. So the reality is you've made tons of progress, and I'm assuming that you want to keep this momentum going. Is that correct?
Yeah. I love this momentum. I feel like an unstoppable force.
Right? So this is really, really important. So let's talk about how we can continue to progress and continue to get results. Does that sound like something you're interested in?
Hell yeah.
Cool, man. All right. So Adrian, do you remember when we talked about the wheel of health activity,
Yes.
right? And then you mentioned some deficits that you had. Do you remember what those deficits were?
Yeah. It was It was in the mind management area.
Correct, correct. It was in the mind management area. That's amazing. So the reality is we talked about it and we explored these deficits a little bit more. And, the reason why this is all really important because, it's really important because here's the thing that you told me before. You used to suppress your feelings.
Mhm.
Remember you told me about that? You used to, and now the cool thing is that you become this character that is so much more self-aware, right? And so that's a really important piece. I know I hammered that home last time, but it's really important. So it's really like I want to talk to you a little bit about last time. Remember we did this. I'm going to share this with you too. Remember the avoiding Niagara syndrome thing that you did for homework? Do you have that with you?
Yes. Yeah, I
So
do.
I just want to like touch on this just for 1 second, okay? Because I was wondering how you made out with this because this is the really fantastic questions to ask yourself, right? So the question is, how did you feel about this first question? Like if you stayed on track, making no changes to what you're currently doing, what did you envision that your life and your health would look like in 5 years from now if you stayed on this path?
Ooh, 5 years from now, I
I
think,
know it's a hard thing to think about, but I just
yeah.
want you to kind of wrap your head around it.
So, um, ideally, I feel like I would finally have reached if I stayed consistent how I am now, because I've been making excellent progress in these last few months. I feel like I would finally hit my one of my uh, goals, which or weight goals, which was 170 pounds of trying to be more muscular. So I feel like I would be there, but I would also, because of the way I move and I love to move, I would also be very flexible and strong and adaptable with my body in like so many ways, probably the most aware I've ever been. And I feel like I would actually have healthier joints and muscle tissue and all that stuff than I do now, even healthier probably than when I was 18. Because I remember when I was 18, sure, I was strong in a lot of aspects, but I had a lot of joint pain for
Hmm.
maybe overuse or favoring certain exercises more than others, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So I feel like I would be in a really awesome and happy place physically. And then mentally, I feel so different now than I have since I started the program. And I know there's still like some dark force holding me back. So um but it's not holding me back as much as it used to, and it keeps feeling like it's getting lighter each day, and
Cool.
so I can't even imagine how that one's gonna feel in in a 5 years, because that one's a little harder for me to grasp because that one is the most new to me, and
Hmm.
but the physical isn't as new to me because I've been through many physical transformations personally in my life already.
Cool.
Um,
So
but yeah,
how do you think that might affect other parts of your life?
other parts, I feel like right now I notice I am more of a giving person because I have extra energy to give, and like I'm overflowing with energy in some aspects, and it's easier to be a more giving person when you have extra to give, because before I
Yeah.
wasn't a very giving person, and it wasn't because I didn't want to be one, it was because I had nothing to give, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or at least that's how I felt at the time. I had nothing to give at the time, and I didn't have energy to give, so I didn't want to put more energy out there, so
Right.
I feel like it would positively impact a lot of people around me too. And even now as a personal trainer, I always hear my clients say like, "Oh, thank you." Like I the other day I was able to pick up my granddaughter um because of the workouts we've been doing, and it's like, "Oh, dang, that's like comments like that really hit you in the spot because that brought them a lot of joy to just pick up their granddaughter, and
Yep.
like because before they like, oh, before I would do it and I'd be scared to do it because my shoulder or this or that would hurt, but now I could do it pain free, and and it feels good, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome here.
Isn't that so
So
good? That is so
it
good.
is.
Hey, let's just jump to the second question here, okay? Because
Hmm.
I'm curious about um, you know, what your thoughts are if you actually, if you continue to change, right? Are you okay with how
Hmm.
your life looks in 5 years from now if you continue down the path that you're currently on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Right. And so also the reality is that like there are some things that you can continue to move forward, right? Like you were just talking about your mental health, right? And how that's super important to you and how that you've made improvements, right? You know that you're not quite there, okay? The question is that something that you're interested in moving forward at this particular point?
Like like strengthening my mental health. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like the next thing. It sounds like for you, you've got all the physical stuff sort of tied in, right?
Hmm.
And now, so I'm curious as to, I wonder what would happen if Adrian continued to up his mental game,
Hmm.
right? Can you imagine? So I just want you to kind of think about that and to dream about that just a little bit, okay? Um,
Okay.
do you remember, so you see this next one here? Remember the North Stars that we did, like the health North Stars and the life North Stars that we did?
Hmm.
I was curious, what was your number one North Star?
Yeah, let me pull that out real quick. Thought I had it out, but um let's see here. This one. Oh no. Oh, here we go. Oh wait, no, that's not the one. Sorry, I'm afraid I misplaced it.
That's okay. Question for you while you're looking for it. Do you think, so before
Yeah.
we talk about that piece, like, do you feel like there's any deficits in your like in your mental game? Like, do you feel like you can pinpoint what those deficits currently are that you need to improve on?
Yeah, the stress management and uh mind management, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I remember one of the ones for my North Star. It
Okay.
was it was to become like my most like authentic version of myself.
I'm the most authentic version of myself.
Yeah.
Okay, so the real question is if Adrian could wave his magic wand
Hmm.
and really become the most authentic version of himself, what would that look like?
Um, be pretty sweet, I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
uh,
it would be
what it would,
sweet.
yeah, so it would be like what's it called? It'd be really cool, like he'd always be in the present, um, constantly, I don't know, just always trying to send off like good vibes energy to everyone, and like just be really good at handling multiple situations, whatever they may be, and just very adaptable and like sincere with everybody he meets. And
Amazing.
always and yeah, and like and I can go on, man, because it could but it would be really cool.
Yeah, that
I
would
guess
that would
always fully living life. I guess that would be the best way to shorten the answer.
right. Fully live life. I love it. Fully live your life. And when you think about how that feels, how does that feel to you, man?
It feels good, you know? Like I know I'm on that path because I already feel it now, you know?
Yep.
Um so I can't even imagine how much more it'll compound on itself, you know?
Ah, that's amazing, dude. Thanks for sharing all that with me.
Mhm.
That's really fantastic. So, what do you feel like your biggest struggle is currently when it comes to being a, let's call it a mental health or a mental fitness ninja?
I love
All
that.
right. Because
Yeah.
that's what I picture for you. I'm like, oh man, this guy's not going to stop until he becomes like a mental health ninja. Because now that it's on your like mental dashboard,
Mhm.
I can see you tuning into it. So my question is,
Mhm.
what's stopping you or slowing you down from getting that,
Yeah.
becoming that
I
ninja?
think I think one of the things is being finding and engaging in more opportunities to practice that, you know, to practice that thing. Like, um, if you see a situation that might be difficult to handle, but you have the courage to handle it, you try and handle it, and if you fail, you fail. You just try and learn from the experience. But if you succeed, it'll give you a little more confidence to try another harder endeavor. And then you just kind of repeat that process, and then you'll have so much achievements that your confidence would have risen by such a substantial amount that now you do have that more of like resilient, adaptable mind. You know, so
Yeah, that's amazing.
that for sure.
So I guess the real question is, how important is that to you? Like, let's say on a scale of like 1 to 5,
Hmm.
5 being like the most important thing. How important is that to you? Becoming this mental ninja where you're like highly adaptable, highly courageous, building your confidence with every particular rep that you're doing.
Hmm. Yeah, a five, I'd say, no
Amazing.
doubt.
Can I ask why you're a 5?
Because I noticed I noticed myself and other people struggle a lot of mental things, you know, whether it be like um, mental awareness, sharpness, or um, like confidence, you know, you name it, anything mental. Um, and if I came from like such a deficit and I could help them, teach them how to build it, or if they already have a they're strong-willed, I could help them either harness it and focus it even better, you know? And it'll help them out of a situation, you know, because there's always going to be a sense of struggle. And honestly, when the mind falls, everything else is just going to follow with it, you know? So I
Amazing.
guess, yeah. And that was the one muscle I neglected the most was my mind, you know? I did everything else, you know, but the
Right?
mind was the strongest one of them all, you know?
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing that all with me. And I feel like I don't have any more questions for you. Is there anything else that you feel that we haven't covered that you feel like you need to know about before we continue on with this?
Um, no, I guess the only question would be like, how could I guess get started on that mental game change?
Yeah, and that's a fantastic question because I would love to continue working towards that with you, right? Because
Mhm.
you've stepped in so far, and now it sounds like you also have another goal and another place to step into, right? And so I'd like to help you get closer to that. So you also know that, consistency is key and support and accountability is here. And it seems like you and I have a strong relationship. So I would love to step into that new program with you if you're interested in, becoming that mental fitness ninja. So I'm going to call you from
Yeah.
now on, right? So
Yeah.
you're going to become
Right
that
on.
mental fitness ninja, right? I can imagine that in another 90 days, whoa, like again, you've been sort of making this light years sort of approach. Okay. And so I would like to offer that to you now, because obviously, again, I don't take this lightly. And so, I know that you invest your time and your money and things like that. So the reality is that there's a bit of an investment involved with that, right? To help you, create and maintain this amazing lifestyle that you're trying to create. So why don't
Mhm.
I just throw out the number and then you decide if that's something that works for you? Okay, so just like this
Okay.
particular program, it's $2,400, and
Mhm.
you can take care of it in a whole lump sum, or we can also split it up into some sort of payments. Which do you prefer?
I'd probably say payments would probably be the best,
Yeah, so
and
we
that's
can,
fair.
yeah, we can totally just break it up into three payments, right? And then we can make all that happen. So that's super. I'm super excited that you made that decision to continue on. So I'm really stoked about that. Now,
Mhm.
before we finish up, you can see on the second, I just want to share something with you because I always have homework for you because I love giving you homework because you're the guy that does homework, which I friggin' absolutely love. So
Yeah.
so the second page of this, right? I just want to have a look at this, before we meet up with each other next time, right? So we're going to go through the same
Mhm.
process that we did before, where we're going to have, you know, our powwow when we get together, and we're gonna get really clear on the goals that we're trying to achieve for the 90 days. But I kind of want you just to have, between now and when we have that conversation, I want you to look forward to the next 90 days, right? So, what you're going to focus on feeling and what's important about that, and three new habits that you would like to adopt, and have a, kind of look into you, so you kind of know Phil and you kind of know who he is. And so just also get clear on what kind of support and accountability that you might need. Does that sound
Mhm.
reasonable? So, just take that and take some time to do that, because, we're going to, as soon as I get confirmation, and, I'm going to get back to you, and we're going to set up our call just like we did last time. It's all automated and ready for you to go. And then we'll just follow through and we'll make that plan and we'll get together on the particular date that you pick. And
Mhm.
we'll dive deeper into Adrian becoming a mental fitness ninja.
Yeah. There you
Amazing.
go.
Thank you so much. Congratulations again on all of the amazing work that you've done in the past 12 weeks. And just take a
Mhm.
few moments maybe tonight just to sort of also just to celebrate your wins, and make sure that you take time out, and we're like last time, we're like a pig rolling in the mud, right? So we don't want to move on to the next thing until we've like taken time to like go, oh man, all this amazing work that I've done. And
Yeah.
and I'm just so proud of myself to be on this mission. And yeah, just take a few moments just to take a few deep breaths and just kind of soften into that new reality. Sound like a
Mhm.
plan? So
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
looking forward to the next time that we meet up. And like I said, it'll all be sort of sent out to you. I'm going to send an email out to you and we'll confirm that. And you'll be able to pick a date just like last time. And we'll get together and make the magic happen again.
Awesome.
Cool, man. Well, Thank you so much for showing up, and you have a fantastic week, and we will talk to you next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Phil.
Cool, man. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.